We've reached the final day of action in the 2021 AFC Champions League group stages, and today's the last matches in Group F here in Bangkok. Neither of these sides can make it through, but both will be looking to finish on a high as Viettel from Vietnam take on FC-Iloilo from the Philippines. Will both these sides enjoying AFC debuts, or AFC Champions League debuts? As you can see, Ulsan Hyundai and BG Pattern United are already through. BG will go through as one of the best second-place teams, but they still could pip Ulsan to the title if they better Ulsan's win over them earlier in the campaign. That's coming up a little bit later on. Should be an intriguing clash between the side who play their home games here. Dark clouds overhead, 31 degrees. The temperature today, 70% humidity. It's been a mixed bag, but the constant has been the heat and humidity over the last 2.5 weeks. And just one more 90 minutes to go for these players in what's been an interesting group. Viettel beat Kaya 5-0 when they met back on match day 2. Graham Harvey, the new man in charge, of course, at Kaya, his side have lost every game so far. They have scored a couple of goals, but he's been saying how much the trip has meant to them, how much it's been a learning curve for them, and how many positives they'll take away from this into the next Philippine League campaign. And of course, hopefully they'll be qualifying again for future AFC Champions Leagues in the not too distant future. Seven of the 8 places have been decided already. The only place left to determine is the last of the second place spots. It'll either be PHI or Daegu. If Daegu win their match today, they will go ahead of Viettel and into the next stage. PHI rather. Be a big boost for the side from Hong Kong if they could make it through. They've had a frustrating couple of games though. Kaya have enjoyed 2 pretty good performances defensively. They only lost out 2-1 to the defending champions Ulsan Hyundai on match day 5, and also a single goal defeat to BG Pattern United just 3 days ago. So they have tightened up at the back. They've been resilient. Rota, Menzi, Mitchell was superb in that last game, although Mitchell is injured today. We'll give you the team news in just a short while. It's just started raining as well, which will just slicken the surface of the pitch up. Other matches coming up later for you today. We mentioned BG Pattern United against Ulsan Hyundai a little bit later on here. And the other games coming to a close in Uzbekistan as well in Group I, as Kawasaki Frontale take on Beijing FC, and United FC from the Philippines play Daegu. So a win for Daegu would put them through as one of the best second-place teams in the group. So a lot to play for. United, though, did win their last game against Beijing. They have picked up 4 points en route. They've done slightly better than the other team that are here, Kaya, that we're going to witness in just a moment or two's time. Kaya, of course, had to come through that playoff against Shanghai Port, so they didn't have too much time to prepare. They only had a few days before their opening game in the competition. Simone Rota there at the back. And match officials just waiting to lead out the 2 teams here. It's been a tournament that's been held among the COVID protocols, but it's been held safely and securely, which has been good. Graham Harvey was only appointed a couple of weeks before the start of the tournament, didn't have much time to work with his team beforehand. But no doubt now looking forward to taking the team on to their next league campaign. It was a shortened league in the Philippines last season. They played just 5 matches. Did go unbeaten, but they were behind United FC, or United City FC in the table. Sign of how far United were ahead in the league, really. Kaya scored 5 goals in 5 matches. United scored 25 in 5 matches.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Viettel FC from Vietnam and Kaya FC-Iloilo from Philippines.
So for the final time, these two teams will make their way out into the Pathum Thani Stadium. It's been their home for the last 2.5 weeks. Sure, they're looking forward to getting back home and leaving the bubbles, which can be a big stress on things. But I think it is going to be part and parcel of tournaments such as this, certainly for the immediate future. But we have had a tournament, we've had some great football, some great goals, and some great standout individual performances as well across the tournament. And I think that's testament to everybody involved on the ground here in Thailand at 3 venues, and of course the 2 venues in Uzbekistan as well. Has been breaking new ground. There were 9 new teams in the AFC Champions League from varying associations. So 2 teams from the Philippines for the first time. Viettel from Vietnam making their debuts. And the final team selections for Viettel making 5 changes that were beaten by Ulsan last time out. Hwang Duc and Kaiki returned for their 5th starts. Tien Dung, Nok Hai and Trong Hwang all return. Jaha is the only player to have started every match so far wearing number 11. So Kaiki coming back in up front. He's been their main striker. Has been rotated in the last couple of matches, but back in the starting lineup today. Referee is Hannah Hattab from Syria. Just his 2nd match in the competition. He was in charge for Viettel's 2-0 defeat to BG Pathum United. He's also been a 4th official on 4 occasions. Tien Dung and Marwin Angeles are the 2 captains. And the Kaya change, showing 3 changes. Carlisle Mitchell was injured in the last match, so Manasari Amura, who replaced him in that game, comes in at centre-back. There's a first start for Shimar Felonko and a 2nd start for Eric Giganto. Fiji, Daiso, De Bruyke and Audi Menzi have now started all 6 games for Graham Harvey's side. The substitutes, Pedro Paulo and Nguyen Tan Binh, dropped to the bench for Viettel, while Graham Harvey has just 7 outfield substitutes, including Jovin Bedic and Marco Casambre, who both drop out of the starting lineup. Kaiki will be a key member up front as they try to end the season, or in the campaign rather, with another victory. Kaya would just love to get some points on the board. Graham Harvey said that is their aim, and that's what they will be striving to do over the next 90 minutes. So it will be Kaya, all in black, to get us underway, kicking from left to right in the first half, looking for their first point in this AFC Champions League group stages. And straight away, the ball bouncing into the penalty area. I think Giganto was a little bit slow to react there. Hans-Jürgen Gede is the Viettel coach, the German. Very experienced. He's in charge for the AFC Champions League games. And Graham Harvey, as we said, a man born just north of London in Watford. Coming in, but when they do their arrival interviews, he was saying how much his team have learnt from this, and just the experience of being here and playing against the best team in Asia. And as he said, they had to adapt pretty quickly, having only qualified on the Wednesday after the tournament had started on the Tuesday. And just a couple of days to prepare for their first match. Did score in that first match as well. Marvin Angeles with a 4-1 defeat to BG Pattern United. They lost their opening 2 games, conceding 9 goals. But then it just started to get a little bit better. A 3-0 defeat to Ulsan Hyundai. And then they lost to the same opposition 2-1. And then in the last match, so they very nearly held BG Pattern United to a draw. But Sarak's goal coming in the 83rd minute, it really was a heartbreaker for Kaya. You could just see it on their faces. They'd battled so hard and given everything, and still came away from the match empty-handed. Jovin Bedik is the scorer of the only other goal they've scored, rather, in that 2-1 defeat to Ulsan Hyundai. Is Jahat. He's been superb in midfield for Viettel. Angeles back to Felongo. Bakhil's put his defenders under pressure here. Trong Huang trying to muscle his way through. Had a play for a corner. A little bit of early pressure here for Kaya. Zach Banzen still wearing the scars from the last match when he was just caught by one of the BG Pattern United players going down to gather the ball. Nice play. Trong Huang took a slight deflection. That was Daiso trying to clear. Does eventually get the ball back into the Viettel half. Only Viettel is the furthest man back. I think credit must go to a lot of the staff of these two teams as well, or all the teams really in the competition. The recovery periods between games haven't been great, and the heat and humidity has really drained the energy from the legs, but they've managed to get their players fit and ready, and a lot of players have played a lot of minutes in this competition. Some coaches have had the luxury of being able to rotate a little bit more than others. It's just helped away by Audi Menzi for a corner. Yeah, Viettel had that big win over Kaya. They only scored in one of the match. Pedro in a 3-1 defeat to BG Pattern United. They were beaten by Ulsan Hyundai 3-0 3 days ago. It's Trong Huang. Kaiki. Trong Dai with a shot which was blocked before he could reach Zach Banzen. Banzen has come in goal for the last 3 matches, replacing Louis Casas, who's on the bench. Noksan. Trong Dai. Kaiki. Jaha. Noksan picked out Huang Duck on the edge of the penalty area, away by Audi Menzi. Too much on that. It was Folonco that's headed it back into play. It flicks off the defender. Rotter was in there to make the interception. Kaiki couldn't catch it cleanly. Yeah, Folonco coming in for his first start today. Did come off the bench against Viettel. It's his only other appearance so far late on in the game. Replacing Casambre today, who's dropped down to the bench. Here's Adi Menzi, the man who was responsible for getting Kaya here. He scored that 16th minute goal in the playoff against Shanghai Port. Trong Huang. Foul by Folonco. Just a third start for Trong Hong. He's a regular in the Vietnam national team, played in 2 recent internationals against Malaysia and the UAE. Viettel coming forward again. That's in behind everybody though. Should be comfortable for De Bruyke. Daniels. Looked lively, Daniels, in most of the games that he's played. Still hasn't found the net though. He probably feels he deserves a goal. He came close a couple of times the other night. Allowed to run by Angeles. Daiso, is that Fuji rather? In towards Daiso. Three Japanese players in the starting lineup for Kaya today. Masanari, who's coming at the back, Daiso and Fuji. Fuji's created more chances for Kaya. Dylan De Bruyke in midfield has created more passes, so a lot depending on those sort of players today. The creative spark in the forward third. Trongdai. Jaha. Hint of handball from Tienan, not given, away by Masanari. Big appeals for a foul, which has been turned away by the referee. It was De Bruyke that went down injured. Viettel still enjoying pressure. Trong Huang. Do have one game to go in the Vietnamese league. They've played 12 of their 13 matches. Viettel, they are second in the table, 3 points behind Hwang An Gaia Lai. But there is a 7-goal difference, so it looks as though they're going to have to settle for second place in the Vietnamese league this season unless they can win, and there's a 7-goal swinging goal difference. That game coming up on the 8th of August. Jaha. It's not Sun. Happy to play the game at their own pace at the moment, Viettel. Knock high. Trong Dai and Nok Sun. Dai went for the return for Lonko, almost giving it away, but Fuji just put a foot in time. It'll be a Kaya throw. Flick away from Ali Menzi, just did enough on it. It's a poor ball. He's lacking that little bit of composure coming out of defence. Kaiki sliding in, couldn't quite reach it. Still all Viettel at the moment. That comes off the back of Filonko. So those teams that have qualified so far, very Korea and Japanese heavy. Ulsan Hyundai, Jeonbuk Motors, Pohang Steelers, all from Korea. Kawasaki Frontale, Cerezo Osaka, Nagoya Grampus from Japan. And the one team breaking up that at the moment is BG Pattern United. So they qualified by virtue of the fact that Gamba Osaka failed to win yesterday. Last of the spots, say, between Kitchi and Daegu. Daegu in action later. Here's Trong Dai. Might try his luck from distance, straight at Zach Banzan. It's swerved awkwardly away by Rotter. Tienan. Trong Huang completely missed his kick. First save of the match from Zach Banzan. This is Fuji. Frustration for Daniels. Swerved awkwardly for Banzan. Fortunately, nobody was following up. Still Viettel back on the attack, still in the opening quarter of an hour. It's been all the Vietnamese. Trong Huang. Tienan. Almost reaches Kaiki. Good header by Rotter. Good ball, Jaha to knock high. Kaiki tries to play the little give and go. Be a foul on Filongo right on the edge of the penalty area. Just caught the ankle. And great clearance by Zach Banzen. Noxon with a throw. Tiendung. Viettel. Just get the ball in play. It's Huang Duck. Out of Fuji. Kaya just need to have some possession for a little while at the moment. They've been chasing shadows for the opening 17 minutes. It's been all Viettel. 84% possession for the side from Vietnam. Graham Harvey will just want his side to put a foot on the ball and just try and take the game to Viettel a little bit more. They're desperate to try and get some points on the board. Last thing you want to do really is go through a tournament without any points. Tampines Rovers from Singapore and Guangzhou have already finished with no points in the group, or in their respective groups rather. Kaya won't want to join them. De Bruyke hasn't seen too much of the ball in the opening stages. Dylan De Bruyke, he's proved that he's a good distribution. That's a nice little turn to buy himself some space in midfield as well. He needs some movers off the ball. Daniels, Fuji inside him. Giganto makes that diagonal run. Shot took a slight deflection. Didn't, in fact, he's gone for a goal kick. First time that Tai and the Vietnam goal has had the ball anywhere near him. It was Giganto with a shot, actually. It was Daiso that had just tucked inside. They've had a shot though, albeit off target. Fuji. Poor touch over Ranić, showed too much of it to Jaha. Falongo will get there first and guide it back to his goalkeeper. Third game in a row for Zach Banzen. Good ball down the line for Trong Huang. Time to look up and maybe pick a spot here. It's Kaiki. Trong Dai. Little step inside. Good save, Banzen, who gathers at the second attempt. Second time he's been called into action now, the Kaya goalkeeper. Bought himself a little bit of space on the edge of the area. Trong Dai, it was a nice touch just to wrong foot Daiso. Has been at the club all his career, Trong Dai, 24 years of age. Turn by Trong Dai, Jaha. Knock high. Just off the head of Mazanari. Audi Menzies just overrun that. Tienan will gather for the throw. Knock high again, had a decent ball into the box a moment or so ago. Nok Sun. Trong Huang. They do work the ball in those nice triangles, Viettel. Crying out for a cross then from Nok High, but he just delayed and allowed Fuji a side to the ball. Tien Dung. Jaha. Hasn't managed to get his name on the score sheet yet, Jaha. Kaiki did get a couple in that 5-0 win over Kaya in the first match between the sides. Tien Dung, Huang Duc and Min Tuan getting the other goals in that game. So they are the most successful team in Vietnam. Viettel, they were previously known as Tre Cong, the former army club, the Ministry of Defence team. 19 National League titles, based in Hanoi. Did win 9 in a row as well between 1971 and 1979. It was a particularly golden spell for them. Was Angeles trying to burst through. A little bit of hesitation from Nok Sun. Wins the goal kick though off the Kaya captain. Former Kaya player Richard Greer was one of those instrumental in getting Graham Harvey the coaching job. Greer, who was doing some coaching in Australia with Harvey on a coaching course, and recommended him for the position when it came available. So he's got a very experienced coach alongside him as well. Yu Hoshida, the Japanese coach Hoshi, as he's more affectionately known. He's been at the club 2 years now. I'm sure Harvey has tapped into Hoshi's knowledge over the last few weeks to get the best out of his team, or certainly pick the best team selection. Trong Dai. Free kick to Viettel. Foul by Marwin Angeles. He's actually born in Venice. Marwin Angeles started his career at Venezia, moved to the Philippines for spell with Lao in 2011, sorry. Another Italian connection, of course, is Simone Rota at the back, who was brought up in predominantly Italian-speaking parts of Europe when he was younger. Big AC Milan supporter, did play for Italy at under-21 level. Simone Rota. Trong Huang. Put down by Falongo. It'll be a free kick, which has already been taken. Just a little bit too more intense and arguing about the free kick then, Kaya, than defending, but they've managed to get away with it. Huang Duc. Jaha. It's Nok High. Nice play again by Viettel in towards Kaiki, away by Rota. Jaha challenging. Van Tiet takes over. Nicely done by De Bruyke. Wins his side up. The throw. Survived that particular little bit of a pressure spell from Viettel. I know this no match has no bearing on those second place finishes, but if you are following one of those teams, just to remind you that if Daegu win their match later on against the other Philippines team, United City FC, it will mean that they go through along with Pohang Steelers and BG Pattern United as one of the best third place teams. It means that PHI from Hong Kong will miss out on goal difference. Daegu's goal difference is an amazing plus 12 at the moment. PHI's plus 3. Pohang Steelers plus 4, so Pohang on 11 points would scrape in. A point wouldn't be enough, though, for Daegu. It would see PHI going through, so they'll be keeping an eagle eye on that game a little bit later on in Uzbekistan. That one kicks off in around about 90 minutes from now. The game's a little bit earlier in Uzbekistan today. Kawasaki Frontale, who are already qualified, and Beijing FC. And of course, later on, we've got the battle of the top two here to come. BG Pattern United against Ulsan Hyundai, the defending champions. Incidentally, in that one, if BG Pattern United win 3-0 or by 3 goals, they would finish top of the group, because it's down to the goal difference between the teams involved in getting to that position. So still plenty to play for BG Pattern United in that final game. Should be a good one. Ulsan looking to extend their winning run to 15 games. And a shot from Trong Dai flies over with the aid of a slight deflection. Not too sure how the referee spotted that from there. Zach Banzen is saying it went straight over. Fulongo just getting himself into a bit of trouble in the corner. Too sure that did flick off Simone Rota. Let's have a look. Nowhere near him. He's given a corner, though. Hwang Dug. I don't think Zach Banzen touched that one either. Claims that he was just knocked off his feet by Kaiki. It was an awkward fall as well. Zach Banzen, who came through the youth ranks at Kaya. Graham Harvey saying before he gave him his debut a couple of games ago what a big occasion it was for him. There's Jahar just backing in. Graham Harvey explaining the whys and wherefores. Did have a spell in Hong Kong earlier in his coaching career at Eastern Lions as assistant. Nok-sun forced back towards his own goal, but he's still threaded it through to Nok-hai. Good pressure from Fuji. Still goalless then, coming up to the half-hour mark. Zach Banzen in the Kaya goal has had to make a couple of saves. Just one shot going wide for Giganto for Kaya. Haven't yet hit the target. Ball has been played predominantly in the Kaya half of the field for the opening half an hour. Here's Jahar. Now Kaiki. Nok-sun. Kaiki, nice little flick. Trong Hwang, right across goal. Well, he does love to get in behind defenders. Nguyen Trong Hwang. A hint of offside there, but no flag. He was a couple of metres wide in the end. It was a lovely flick from Kaiki to play him in. Angle was just a little bit too tight for him. Kaikei's actually been involved in 50% of his side's goals. 2 actual goals and one assist. Only Tianan has created more chances for his side than Kaiki. Still that possession weighted very, very heavily. 82.8%, nearly 83% to Viettel in the opening stages of the game. Kaya actually celebrating their 25th anniversary this year. Founded back in 1996 as Kaya Football Club. Went on to become Kaya Makati before they relocated to Iloilo. Viettel. Frustrating for all concerned when you do have so much of the ball and you don't have the lead. Trong Huang had that shot a moment or so ago. Tries his luck again, and another good save by Banzan. Good risk to push that one away. Goal kick. Well, Trong Huang denied by the keeper that time. A couple of times he's gone close now. Good save by the keeper, who had the presence of mind to push that wide rather than back out into play. It's Vitel's 8th shot on goal, their 3rd shot on target in this first half. Felonko. Fuji. Given away to Bruker, trying to make amends. Tiendung. Now Viettel. Trongdai. Kaiki. Trying to turn away from 2. He's got away from 2. It was Rota that just got a foot in. Just prevented him getting the shot away there, Kaiki, the Brazilian. Has got a couple of goals, as we say, Kaiki. There is a Brazilian top scorer in the eastern section. Gustavo from... Diano from Kawasaki Frontale, but is the 2nd top scorer. The Gustavos from Korea, Jeonbuk Motors, 7 goals. Michael Alunga from Al Dahale, still the top scorer in the group stages from those Western section games back in April. Kaiki's shot. Goal kick. And a couple of Koreans, a couple of Jeonbuk Motors players. Monu Barrow as well has got 6 goals for Jeonbuk. Patrick from Gamba Asaka with 6. A lot of South Americans play in the Asian leagues. A lot of South Americans get goals as well. Kaiki scored 3 in 11 league appearances for Viettel. Kaya player down, injured here. Just caught the side of Daniel's face. There was no malice in Jahar because he didn't realise that Daniels was sneaking up on the blind side. Here's that shot from Kaiki. I thought that one was a corner, whereas the other one wasn't. I did think that flicked off the studs of De Bruyne. Not given. Fuji. Menzi. Daniels. Tried to head it on, but there was nobody able to get on the end of it. Comfortable for Quang Tai Tai in the Viettel goal. Making just his second appearance. They did change their goalkeeper for the 5th match. Tran Nguyen Man had been in goal for 4 games before Tai Tai came in. Here's Trong Huang. Kaiki behind De Bruyke. Too much on the cross though. Useful player to have in the side is Kaiki. Do have another Brazilian, of course, in Bruno Matos, who's not featuring today, knocked down on the bench, picked up a knock in the last game. Pedro as well is another player that we haven't seen too much of in this tournament. Pedro Paulo, he is on the bench. Tianan. Ended up looping up in the end. Now Fuji to come away for Kaya. There's a little nudge from Daniels. Still tidied up though by Noksun. It was good defending. Spins away from Angeles. Now Trong Huang. Rotter with a little dummy, away by Mazanari. Daniels with a chest. There's a bit of space here for Daiso. Down by Jaha. More hopeful than anything. You can see the reaction of Kenshiro Daniels just waving his arms in the air in frustration, that ball going over the top, and Graham Harvey leaving the shouting to Coach Hoshi at the moment, but might just need to tweak a few things at half-time for his team. They have been, as we say, second best in terms of shots and certainly possession in the first half, but they've found a Viettel side that have been fairly blunt up front in the opening 40 minutes or so. Jaha. Noksun. Tiendung, the Viettel captain. Viettel will almost certainly feel their play deserves a goal before half-time, but credit to the Kaya defenders. So they're almost playing 5 at the back at the moment. If you look at Fuji's position, just Folonko tucking in and Fuji just roaming around, just slightly in front of his back four. It's making life difficult for Viettel to find any gaps. One more shot from the Vietnamese would take them into double figures. Zach Banson has made 3 saves already in this first half. It's a foul on Daiso. Jaha. 3 minutes to go to half-time. Viettel. Now knock high. They're making a change here. It is not high that's going off. And it's Tan Bin that's coming on, so didn't seem to have picked up a knock. It's a strange one to make a change so late in the first half. It does lessen your options in the second half, because Viettel have only got 2 windows now where they can make any more substitutions plus half-time. Here goes Tianan, a little bit of space in front of him. It's a deeper ball in. Trong Dai was arriving. Trung Huang. And Noksun. Banson pushes away again. I'm not too sure that was going in, but taking no chances. It almost flicked off Rotter just in front of him. It's another good stop by the Kaya goalkeeper. 4th save made in the first half. Banson's just been caught again. There are players down everywhere. 4 players on the ground at the moment. Kaiki's down, Tien Dung's down. Banson does what a good goalkeeper should do, really. Just comes out into that crowd of players. No fear. Didn't get much on it. It spins away. I think he's gone for another corner. Maybe just flicked off the back of Rotter's head. It may have caught Kaiki last. Depends what the Syrian referee has seen. Rotter still down. Was sent off in the opening match, Simone Rotter against Ulsan Hyundai. Kaya did manage to hold the defending champions again. Here's another corner. Good header away by Daiso. Giganto trying to turn. White shirt streaming back. Will be maybe a couple of minutes added time at the end of the first half. Here's Noksun. Jaha. Huang Duck. Two minutes added time it is at the end of the first half. This is Kaiki. Still goalless. Kaya have become very difficult to break down over the last few matches, which will be a big plus point for Graham Harvey. Foul on Trong Huang. Shielded the ball well. He's very good at drawing the foul. It's Folonco that just dived in a little bit. Getting his chance at left back today, Folonco. Casambre down on the bench. Might be the last chance of the first half here for Viettel to try and find a way past Zach Banson. rolled in short, but the shot over the top from Trong Dai. Nicely disguised the free kick, but shot going high over the top from Trong Dai. Hasn't scored since October last year. Probably feels he's due a goal, Nguyen Trong Dai. Well, there goes the half-time whistle. A first half dominated by Viettel in terms of possession and shots. Daniels had a couple of half opportunities. They did have a couple of efforts off target. Kaike again was a threat. Zach Banzen has made 4 good saves in that first half. Jahar once again pulling the strings in midfield, but as yet the Vietnamese unable to find a breakthrough. Likewise their Filipino opponents. Half-time here at the Pathum Thani Stadium. It's Viettel FC 0, Kaya FC 0. Welcome back to Bangkok. Viettel just going into their huddle at the start of the second half. They must wonder how they hadn't scored in that first 45 minutes. Over 80% possession, 11 shots on goal, 4 on target, 4 good saves by Zach Banzon, the Kaya goalkeeper, in that first half, but yet to make the breakthrough. Charlie Kishiro Daniels is impressed. Eric Giganto, one of the players coming into the starting lineup today for Kaya, looking to finish with at least a point. I probably feel they deserve a point from their defensive efforts in their last 2 matches, but a lot of work to do in the next 45 minutes to make sure that their goal stays intact. Have only scored the twice, don't forget, Marvin Angeles and Jovan Bedik. Bedik's on the bench. It is Viettel, all in white, that will get us underway for the second half. The final 45 minutes of the group campaign for these two teams. Viettel, 1 win and 4 defeats, the only win coming over Kaya. Kaya, 5 defeats, but those 2 narrow defeats in their last 2 matches against Ulsan Hyundai, the defending champions, and BG Pathum United. Those 2 go head-to-head later, as BG Pathum United, who are already qualified now with Ulsan, looking to try and go through at the head of the group. Did make a change in that first half. Viettel bringing on Nguyen Tan Bin. Quang Duc. Bit of space here for Tien An. Good header by Rotter, that was aimed in towards Kaiki. Still the ball's not cleared though. Trong Huang. Driven across with pace, tipped over by Banzon for a corner. Well, I'm sure he meant that as a cross, Trong Huang. It ended up being a chance. He was denied twice by Banzon in the first half. The goalkeeper was alert enough and had the presence of mind just to flick that one over the bar. Viettel corner, comes off Fuji, and we'll go for another one on the other side. Giganto trying to close down Noksun, offside against Tiendung. Captain had stayed forward after the corner, just getting caught the wrong side of the defender. Doesn't show much emotion on the sidelines, the Viettel coach, Hans-Jürgen Gede, the man who was named their technical director back in 2020. Truong Viet Huang is the coach for the league games. He's looking for Daniels. De Bruyke. There's a Kaya player down injured. I think Zach Banzon will just clear that out of play so he can get some treatment. The Philippine League is due to start fairly soon. They're still trying to decide whether it will be in the secure bio bubble. They did play just 5 games last year, just played each team once. Usual league format going out the window just because of the COVID and coronavirus restrictions. So they haven't played a lot of competitive football, Kaya, coming into this tournament. I suppose the same could be said about Viettel, their league season comprising just 13 games. We're supposed to play Brisbane Roar in the preliminaries, Kaya, but the Australian teams all pulled out en masse, of course, because of the travel issues. So they went straight into that playoff with Shanghai Port. It's always interesting to hear the comments of coaches as well. Graham Harvey saying that despite the fact they've lost every game, it's been a massively important trip for them, playing against and pitting their wits against the best teams in Asia. And of course, having the defending champions in the group as well was a real learning curve for them. There was that tip over from Banzan a minute ago from Trong Huang's cross-come shot. He's threatened today, Trong Huang. Player enjoying his third season at Viettel, the 32-year-old. It looks as though we're going to see the introduction of Jovan Bedic right at the start of the second half. There's Rota. By Banzan. That's one thing that possibly needs to improve from Zach Banzan in his kicking. He was a little under pressure. Eric Giganto is the player that's being taken off injured, so Jovan Bedic, who has scored in this tournament. His father was a football coach. His brother also played football as well. And the town of Iloilo, by the way, which is in the middle of the cluster of islands in the Philippines, if you look at the group of islands on a map, it is actually known as the football capital of the Philippines. Adi Menzi with the throw straight onto the head of Van Tiet, though. Easy for Banzan. It's the breaker. Simone Rota. Kept in by Daiso. So Daiso's going to play slightly wider with Jovan Bedic going inside him. That's a good ball down the line. Bit of space here for Daiso. Just too close to the goalkeeper. He had two to aim for there, Bedic and Daniels. Just needed to pull that ball away from Tay Tai in the Viettel goal. Confirmation of the standings as they would be if this stays a draw. No effect on the top of the table. Lovely ball through. Trong Huang was clipped. Now, was that right on the edge, or is it a penalty? Rota's been penalised. Oh, it's a red card. It's a second red card in the competition for Simone Rota, who was sent off in the opening game against BG Pathum United. And the referees deemed that to be a professional foul, the last man. And Graham Harvey, shake of the head, says it all. Trong Huang, the man brought down. Now, where was the contact? Well, I'm not too sure. Rota knew that he was there. It's a little unfortunate. Well, there's virtually no contact on Trong Huang. But Rota has been dismissed. Kaya's tournament goes from bad to worse. Second red card. Free kick will be right on the edge of the penalty area. Haman Hattab from Syria is the referee. Well, they went on to lose that match against BG Pathum United by 4-1 after the red card. And having been up against it possession-wise and chance-wise, you wonder how they're going to resist now. Jahar Kaiki, the usual suspects over the free kick. Good take by Banzan. It's a fairly tame effort in the end. Huang Duck. Goalkeeper had plenty of time to see that, even though it dropped over the wall. Has scored in the competition, got a goal in that 5-0 win over Kaya on match day 2. Here's Trung Huang again, just out of the reach of Tien An. Will be a reorganisation at the back for Kaya. Huang Duck. Trung Huang, he's brought down as well, and that could be another red, and is another red. Well, Kaya have had 2 players sent off within 3 minutes. It's Mazanari this time, and it's an almost identical challenge on the edge of the penalty area. And once again, the Syrian referee has gone straight for his top pocket. That looked more like a foul than the first one, to be fair. Trung Huang, the man brought down. Mazanari wasn't in the right angle to challenge, and again the last man, and again a red card. And Kaya are finishing the match. Well, they're down to 9 men. Mazanari, who only came into the starting lineup because of the injury to Carlisle Mitchell. Trung Huang's won himself another free kick. He's got another player dismissed, and the same 3 players are over an identical free kick. It is a case of deja vu. Huang Duck last time chipped it straight into the arms of Zach Banzen. Kaya's players are claiming that the free kick's not been taken from the right place. Jovan Bedic, the spokesman. You can understand the frustrations. 2 players sent off. Kaiki's over it, Huang Duck's over it. Jahar looks like he's taken a backward step this time. It's Kaiki! Much better, top corner. And the Brazilian finally takes advantage. Gets his 3rd goal of the competition. And Kaya's resistance finally broken after having 2 players sent off. Once again, Hans-Jürgen Gede emotionless. Graham Harvey will be bitterly disappointed. It was a well-executed free kick. No way Banzen was getting across to that one. And Kaiki again showing his quality with the finish. But the inquest afterwards will be about the 2 red cards and the fact that Kaya are down to 9 men. And well, you fear for them now. They conceded goals when they went down to 10 against BG Pattern United. They're making changes. Casambre has come on. Arboleda also coming on as well. So they will force to rearrange. They'll have to sacrifice a player in midfield. That's Angeles just caught in possession. De Bruyke. Kaiki battling back. Oh, it's a short pass. It's a chance here for Daniels. Tai was quickly off his line. Well, Kaya will take any gifts that come their way at the moment. It was a poor back pass from the man who's just scored the goal. Menzies tucked into centre-back. Casambre's got in at centre-back as well. Falongo has stayed at left-back. There's Trung Huang. Nice little give and go. Just a heavy touch. And away by Audi Menzi. Well, I wonder if they realise when Audi Menzi scored that 16th-minute goal in the playoff how tough this campaign would be. Because it doesn't help when you have players sent off. 2 straight red cards. Van Thiet. Viettel can enjoy the freedom of having a little bit more space to work with. Kaiki. Good call from Banzen, and at the feet of Trong Huang. Damage limitation, you wonder whether might be the option now for Kaya. How ironic would it have been if that back pass from Kaiki had led to them getting on the score sheet with an equaliser. You have to admire their spirit. We were saying that a lot about Guangzhou, who finally managed to get a goal in their final game. But the spirit, they kept their heads up. They never let their heads drop. The young players that had come over to represent the Chinese side. Even sometimes at 3-4, 5-0 down, they still kept battling right to the final whistle. And I think that's testament to the ethic that's instilled in young players these days at certain clubs. Trong Huang had just strayed rather offside. That's a good ball through to Van Tiet, in behind everybody though. Fuji. So both centre-backs sent off for Kaya. Sambre's come on. Arboleda has come on for a fourth appearance off the bench. Casambre had started all 5 games prior to today. Picked up a bit of a head injury in one of the games against Ulsan, which saw the Koreans have a player red carded for a high foot. Down the line by Tianan, Kaiki. Tiendun. Jaha. Trong Huang. Playing a 1-2 with Huang Duck. Nice little ball back towards Huang Duck, away by Banzen. Kept in by Tianan, was it? No, just rolled out of play. So no foul is the shout coming from the Kaya bench. The last thing they would want is anybody else departing early. As their fellow countrymen are in action early soon. The goalkeeper's come a long way out here. Daniels has taken it wide though. There's no one in the middle. That should be a free kick. The referee looked like he wasn't about to give that then, but has gone back to give the free kick in Daniels' favour. United City FC, who have picked up a win in the competition against Beijing, will take on Daegu. Kawasaki Frontale already qualified against Beijing FC. If Daegu do win that game, it would put them through as one of the best second-place teams. It would mean that Kit Chi from Hong Kong would miss out. Hasn't had too much to do. Nguyen Tay Tai in the Viettel goal. Can the 9 men get an equaliser? And they've got 5 players inside the penalty area. They've got Daniels just lurking on the edge. Viettel have been good in the air right through this competition. This is going to test Fuji's delivery. Keeper spilled it, but nobody in black able to get the ball in front of him. Now Viettel will try and break. The great run from Tianan, still going. Huang Duck, nobody in the centre. Kaiki arriving, now it's in behind, and Bedic able to tidy up. De Bruyke, given away, Fuji. Be a foul. Arm across him from the captain, Tien Dung. Fuji got hauled back, and I think he might just have had his leg trodden on by Tan Bin as well in the aftermath. There's the free kick again, just padded away by Tai Tai. Fortunately for him, there was nobody able to follow up and pick up that loose ball. I think the performances of Ryo Fuji, the Japanese, have been one of the plus points that Kaya will take from this. So they've created more of their chances than any other player. There was the first sending off from Mazanari, the faintest of touches. You can see De Bruyke's reaction just in the background. There's the free kick that opened the scoring. It was actually the second sending off, of course. Rotter sent off first, and Zach Banzen's reaction really says it all, having defended so well to go down to 9 men. Trong Huang, the man who won both those free kicks and was involved in both the sendings off. There's a master's degree in sports coaching. Graham Harvey. So he had a stint with Western Pride in the Northern Premier League in Queensland. Got them to the title in 2017, moved on to Hong Kong. He's worked a lot with youth development in his time as well, which will be something good for Cairo if they can bring players through from their academy. The likes of Zach Banzen, the goalkeeper, could well be where their future lies. Bedic has got the captain's arm back now, by the way, after the departure of Marwin Angeles. He was the first choice captain. Didn't start today though, Jovan Bedic. Midway point of the second half then. Viettel leading by a goal to nil. Kaike's free kick after a second sending off in quick succession as Mazanari departed. Bit of late evening sunshine just breaking through the clouds here in Bangkok. Here's Tien Dung. Now Van Thiet. Tianan. Don't forget, we've got the battle of the top two to come a little bit later on as well. Ulsan Hyundai against BG Pattern United. BG playing at their home stadium, the familiar surroundings that have worked well for them so far. Good challenge by Nok Sun. Trong Huang. Trong Dai. Bedic just snapping away at his ankles. Tianan. Good overlap from Trong Dai. Only Trong Huang in the middle. Nice little flick by Trong Dai. Comes to nothing though for Viettel. A little bit of showboating. I don't think De Bruyke appreciated that. He had a little wag of the finger at Trong Dai and said, come on, We'll have none of that. You're only winning 1-0. Daniels. For Longo. Wasn't a great ball out from him, from Zach Banzen. Just put him under a little bit of pressure. Tienan. Kaiki. Trong Dai. Room was there for the shot, just didn't keep it down. Double change coming for Viettel. Tienan is coming off. And Mandung comes on for a 4th appearance off the substitutes bench. Also taking Nok Sun off as well, and will be Viettel that comes on for a first appearance. Not seen him in any of the 5 games so far, so new player coming on to get a few minutes. Viettel, who began his career with Viettel before moving on for a couple of seasons. He returned to the club in 2019. Just played 2 games in that shortened league campaign. So Mandung has been off the bench 3 times previously. Fuji. Through the legs of Jahar. Foul. It's a clear foul by Viettel. There's no attempt to play the ball. He might be lucky to not pick up a yellow card for that, because Fuji gone past him. No card though. Bedic. De Bruyke just nicked away from him by Jahar. That was an important interception, because De Bruyke would have been in on goal. Viettel, the substitute, laid back by Kaiki. And another shot from Hwang Duk goes over the top. Still 1 or 2 dark clouds gathering here. Obviously the game's been played behind closed doors at the moment. Stadium does hold just over 10,000 when there are spectators in. That's the table as it stands. Viettel would have 6 points, by the way, not 3. They did win against Kaya earlier on in the campaign. The top 2 meeting later. Kaya at the moment becoming the 3rd team to finish with no points after Gwangju and Tampines Rovers. Arboleda. Bedic. To Arboleda, who's just offside. He tried to get on, so you could just see him trying to get back onside there. Maybe a little bit remiss of Bedic to have played that ball back to him, realising he was probably going to be in an offside position, just couldn't get back onside. But Bedic had no other options really, was looking for someone to come in behind him a little bit shorter. Daniels was too far away to pick out a pass. Just a reminder that the teams that do go through will play in the round of 16 clashes. The eastern section and the western section will play teams from their own area. From the quarterfinals onwards, east and west will mix, and we'll see those the 4 teams that go through from those each round of 16 area meet in the quarter-finals over one leg, of course, this year because of the COVID situation again. Mandung, man who came on a moment or so ago. This is Trong Dai, another one on target, but just a fraction too high. That's his third effort on goal. That's the closest he's come so far, Trong Dai. Just flicked the top of the net. Probably feels he deserves a goal, Trong Dai, for his efforts. He's only scored 3 for Viettel in his 38 league appearances. There's Tien Dung. Mandung goes for the return. Banson was a little bit slow to react. And another one lands on the roof of the net. And the substitute going in between the two defenders and had too much on the chip. Banson was a little bit slow. It's landed on the top of the net. Flag stays down. Huang Duck. Viet Phong. Trong Dai. Well, tries luck again here. Well, he's back to the way he was in the first half. That's well over the top. He seems determined to get himself on the score sheet. Trong Dai hasn't scored as yet. Viettel just coming forward in waves at the moment. You would expect that against 9 men. Trong Huang. No one closing in on the far post. Stabbed away by Menzi. Trong Huang's on a corner. He's been impressive today, Trong Huang. He's faded in and out of games previously. He's featured in 5 of the 6 matches. So he's on his 3rd start. Punch away by Banson. Daniels will complete the clearance. Well, the 9 men so far have managed to only concede the 1 goal. Banson was in 2 minds then as to whether to try and catch that or punch it. It ended up just being a flap away, which Daniels completed the clearance. Here's Huang Duck. Jaha. Well, he's played every minute of all 6 games, Jaha. It's a pretty good effort in these hot and humid conditions. Here come Viettel once again. Trying to work her way through too many defenders back around the ball. Back in by Huang Duck. Flicked by Kaiki at the near post. Goes for a corner. Corner's been taken quickly. Glancing header goes just wide from Tien Dung. Well, the captain was only centimetres away from getting a second goal. They took the corner quickly. Almost caught out Kaya. Header just goes flashing wide. Didn't quite get enough on that. Tien Dung did score in the 5-0 win over Kaya when they met on match day 2. Not on this occasion, though. Approaching the final 10 minutes of the match. Viettel leading Kaya by a goal to 0. Kaya down to 9 men after the sendings off of Rota and Mazanari. Here's Van Thiet. Kaiki. Too far for Huang Duck. Should be comfortable for Menzi and is. Fuji, nicely done. Has he got the pace to get in behind Van Thiet? No is the answer. And that's gone all the way back to Tay Tai in the Vietnam goal. Or the Vietnamese goal, should I say. Trung Huang still continuing to be creative, gets away from Folonko's challenge. It's behind Kaiki. Jaha. Jaha again. Trong Dai. Tien Dung, even the centre-backs are pressing high now for Viettel in the latter stages. Viet Phong. Trong Dai, just too high once again. Trung Huang. Another shot wide of the target. They just can't find a way through that. They're getting a little bit over-anxious to get another goal, Viettel. And it's showing in some of the finishing at the moment. They're having snapshots when really the angle's not really there for the shot. It's Trong Dai that headed back across. So Folonko and Fuji have both gone off. Abulok Mita comes on, as does Gayoso for the final few moments. Abulok Mita's appeared in every game so far now, off the bench. Javier Gayoso is another player that arrived around about the same time as Graham Harvey, just before this tournament started. Kaiki shot blocked, still going Kaiki. And he's managed to slip it around Banson, cleared off the line. Still alive here, Viet Phong. Kaiki thought he got his second of the match. It was good defending. Still, it's not over yet, though, for Kaya, who are defending for their lives at the moment. Kaiki shot, tipped behind by Banson. Well, twice he went close there, Kaiki. He was the first one. Slipped it round Banson. Audi Menzi was there. Fortunately, he just got it away from the Viettel player that was closing in, Viet Phong. Here's Jaha. Kaiki on the chase again. Banson gathers. Be interesting to hear the comments of Graham Harvey afterwards. Here comes Trong Huang. They went for goal again, pushed away by Banzan. But it's another good save by the Kaya goalkeeper, who really has had to earn his money today. That was the 23rd shot on goal from Viettel, the 8th on target. And I think they've all been saved by Banzan except one, that clearance off the line a moment or so ago from Audi Menzi. Viet Phong with the corner. Jahar's gone forward. Another couple of changes coming for Viettel. Trong Huang, who's been excellent today, has come off. He probably deserves a goal. He hasn't got one. He did win the free kick that saw Mazanari sent off, that they scored from. Van Tiet's coming off as well. Hu Tang and Doi Tuang are the two players coming on.
Player number 5, Tian Jiang, replaced by player number 88, Jian Jiang.
Amita. That's Gayozo just caught in possession. There was the clearance off the line from Audi Menzi. Didn't quite have enough pace on it from Kaiki. Went close almost immediately after that when the ball found its way back out to him. So another chance for Viettel to further increase their advantage here in the final stages. Headed away before it reaches Banzan. That screaming you could hear, by the way, is the Kaya coaching staff urging their side to move up. You think you might have got that. Here's Viet Phong. Mandung went on a forward run, but straight offside. Kaiki. Doi Tong. Oh, Kaiki again. What a chance. Well, it's gone for a deflection. It's taken a deflection, rather. But he really should have hit the target from there, and he knows it, Kaiki. Nobody picked him up. He was all on his own. And he's just pulled the shot across goal. That's flicked off a defender. It flicked off Cassambra, and it could have gone anywhere. That's Trong Dai again. Another shot off target. Approaching the final minutes of the 90. Just a question of what the officials are adding on here. Well, to say that Kaya have been down to 9 men since the 55th minute, you have to applaud their efforts in defence. Viettel will be bitterly disappointed they haven't got more than the one goal they have to show for their efforts. That Kaiki free kick after Mazanari was dismissed. But they are going through, it would appear, to finish the group stages with 2 wins. Kaya will join Guangzhou and Tampines Rovers on no points unless they can get a late equaliser here. It's a strange clearance back across his own area. This is Doi Tung to clear away, and he sliced it up in the air as well. Arboleda can't keep it in play.
There will be 4 minutes.
4 minutes any time. Away by Amita. Challenge by Jahar has incensed the Kaya players. He's going to get a yellow card, Jahar.
Yellow card.
It was a meter that was going back towards his own goal, and Jahar's had a little kick, and that, no need to do that. He's going back towards his own goal. It's an unnecessary yellow card for Jahar. Pong acting as peacemaker. Jahar goes into the book. Amita. Arboleda. It's in behind everybody again, and the looks on the faces in the middle just says it all, really. Here's Kaiki, waiting for support. Good defending again to deny Hu Tang. This is Doi Tung. Hu Tang. Goalkeeper eventually came, Zach Banson. He was waiting. Long looking for Daniels. Again, the cry is up from the Kaya coaches. Amita's gone down off the ball. Another yellow card for Trong Dai this time, who's probably a little bit frustrated that he hasn't managed to find the net today. There's a bit of pushing and shoving. Amita is involved again. I think Kaiki might be spoken to. There's no need for Kaiki to really get involved.
Yellow card for Viettel FC, player number 77, Dang Zhou.
It's an unnecessary challenge again from Trong Dai and Amita. It's only a throw-in after all that. Amita. It's down ground again. Kaiki.
Another yellow card for FC-Iloilo, player number 17. Arno Amita.
Well, if you look for positives, really, say Kaya down to 9 men since the 55th minute. They'll have lost their last 3 matches by a single goal to Ulsan Hyundai, BG Pattern United, the 2 teams that have gone through, and Viettel that beat them 5-0 on match day 2. And despite the fact they're finishing this with no points, Graham Harvey, I'm sure, will take that as a positive, that his side have become more resilient as this competition's gone on. Might have some more defending to do here, Mandung. Just kept in play by Casambre. Takes a deflection, Banzan will prevent the corner, and that should be the action. We've played the 4 minutes added time. Daniel's just trying to play off the shoulder. It's an important interception by Tan Bin. He's gone for another corner. The referee's had a look at his watch. I mean, in fact, there will be no time for the corner. These two teams' campaigns come to an end. It was a competitive match. It was dominated by Viettel in terms of possession and chances. Two sendings off inside 2 minutes, though, at the start of the second half. Really rocked Kaya. Simeone Rota sent off for the second time in the tournament, and Masanari joining him. Two identical free kicks, one converted by Kaiki, and that proved to be the decisive moment of the match to give Viettel a second win over Kaya. The Philippine side finished with no points, but with their heads held high. They've been a nice addition to this group. Viettel, with their 2 wins and 4 defeats, they will look to return again in the future and compete at this level. Full-time score then in the final group. We've got PHI Pathum United against Ulsan to come. It's finished Viettel 1, Kaya 0.